everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Heidi from My Reading Life, and I'm here today to film my Springathon TBR video. So Springathon is a readathon that's happening in May, and I am one of the co-hosts of it. I will leave a link in the description box down below to my announcement video, and that will lead you to the other three lovely co-hosts, which are Emma and Natalie and Doris, and we are all hosting Springathon from May 3rd through May 19th, and this is a readathon where we encourage everyone to read at least one book that is a book of nature writing, and that can be in any genre, and I love this readathon every year. I think it's a great way to kick off the growing season if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's a great way to celebrate all kinds of nature writing. So I have a stack here of books that I'm hoping to get to during this year's Springathon. And the first book that I want to talk about is our group read. The group read is The Sakura Obsession, The Incredible Story of the Plant Hunter Who Saved Japan's Cherry Blossoms by Naoko Abe, or Abe, not quite sure how to pronounce that. But this is the book that is also the pick for the Book Naturalist Book Club for the month of May, and it is the group read for Springathon. So, and I think this book fits very nicely for spring because of the cherry blossoms. That's definitely a springtime thing. So I am excited to get into this one. Then we have 4 prompts for the readathon, and those prompts are the seasons. And so I have chosen one book for each of the seasons so that I have one book for each prompt. I have also a couple of books on my ebook, on my Kindle, on my e-reader that I might get to in place of some of these, but I want to stick with these 4 from my physical TBR to start with. So for winter, I am choosing Winter Pasture, One Woman's Journey with the China's Kazakh Herders by Juan. And this is a book about a woman who travels from northwestern China and the Altai Mountains with Kazakh herders as they take their cattle and sheep, their camels, sheep, and cattle to winter pastures. And this is an area around the Alungar River to the Heavily Mountains. So I am unfamiliar with that landscape, but I think that it will definitely be good nature writing material. And I've been wanting to pick this up since I purchased it. I think 2 years ago I got this, so that is just disgraceful that I haven't picked it up yet. So that one is my pick for winter, and my pick for spring is this memoir, Landlines by Raynor Winn, and this is, I think this is the 3rd book in sort of a loose trilogy of memoirs that she's written about hiking and walking in Great Britain. And this is, I think, a very spring evocative cover here. That's why I chose it for my spring read, because I think this really is spring-like. I also chose it because I bought it in the spring. I bought it last spring when I was in Switzerland on vacation, and I have not yet read it. So I would like to get to it. I did read this author's first memoir, which I have forgotten the name of, and it's probably not even in here for me to refer to. I don't remember what the name of that one was. Oh, here it is right here. The Salt Path. The Salt Path was about her and her husband walking along the coast in Cornwall. And this one, I think they are going to be hiking the Cape Wrath Trail in northwest Scotland. Yeah. And they end up walking all the way back to their home in Cornwall. So that sounds like a long journey, about 1,000 miles. So interested to get to this one. And then for the summer prompt, I have chosen The End of the Ocean by Maja, Lunde. Lunacha Books told me that in Norwegian, you pronounce the E. It's not silent. So I'm hoping that that is somewhere near correct. Lunde, tell me please, Lunacha, if I'm incorrect again. So this is a book that was written in Norwegian originally, and it has been translated from the Norwegian by Diane Oatley. I read The History of Bees last month, or at the beginning of this month, actually. And so I want to pick this one up in May. And I think this book is definitely a summertime cover, because this looks what I think sunsets tend to look like in the summertime, like beautiful pinks and orange and yellows, and just the gorgeousness of the sky when the sun is setting in the summertime. So that's why I think this one, and also it's about sailing. and sailing is definitely a summertime activity where I live. So this one is about, it's got 2 storylines, I believe, and I don't really know anything other than that about it, so I will wait to see. I will say this one is a novel, while the other 2 that I've talked about are nonfiction. So this is the only novel on my TBR for Springathon. And then lastly, for fall or autumn, I have chosen We Took to the Woods by Louise Dickinson Rich. And this is sort of a classic of nature writing from Maine. And this is about the author Dickinson, who decides to be a writer and an English teacher and moves to a cabin in Maine to like pursue those dreams. And to me, anytime anybody talks about living in a cabin in the woods in Maine, that makes me think autumn. So I don't know why, it just makes me think autumn. And this cover with the little log cabin in the forest and the letters that look like wood just makes me think autumn. So I thought, yes, let's read this one. It's been on my TBR for way too long. I've really been wanting to read it. This book was first published in 1942. So this one's been around a while, and I've always wanted to read it, and so I think this would be a great time to do so. As I said, I have a couple other books that are living on my Kindle. One is by I can't think of his first name, but his last name is Goodall. And I read his book, I think it's Jeff Goodall, The Water Will Come. I read that book earlier this year, and I have his latest book. And that one's about forest fires, I believe. And so that would be a good pick for the summer prompt as well. And then I have a book by Elizabeth Rush. And I can't think of the name of that one either, but I read her book Rising several years ago, which was about sea level rise. And her latest book is about melting ice caps. So that would be a good pick for winter. And she travels to, I think, the North Pole or somewhere up in that Arctic region, and with researchers as they study melting ice caps. So I think that's a good pick for the winter prompt as well. So if I get to it, which is doubtful because I still have to read my BookTube prize books, those 2 I can go to as well. I mean, obviously I have many other nature type books sitting around this house. I'm going to concentrate on these 5 books. So let me hold them all up for you here so we can get a nice look at what I have chosen. I'm going to concentrate on these ones. And then if I somehow read all of those, I will pick something else from my stash of nature books. So that's what I've got picked out. Do you have some books picked out for Springathon? If so, tell me all about them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear. Otherwise than that, I hope you're all having a good week, finding some great books to read, and I will talk to you later.